Hello, everyone, and welcome to Salt Project Community Open Hour for, can you see? Oh, you cannot see. Again, this is like, I wish I could figure out why this happens. Let me try it one more time. And we'll see if we can't make this work. One more time. Anything? No. What's the deal? Let's try it again.
That was working.
Briefly.
Yeah, can you see it now? You can see it now.
Yes.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, mission accomplished. Thanks everybody for your patience, and welcome to Salt Project Community Open Hour for April 6th, not April 6th, it's April 20th. Sorry, I forgot to update the slide there. For April 20th, 2023. A lot happening today. You picked a great day to join us for Open Hour. Very excited. We've got people at PyCon. We've got the amazing Anil Sharma here. We're going to be talking with him coming up in just a second. But first, here's where you can find Salt Project. We are everywhere. I dare say we're ubiquitous. YouTube, GitHub, Slack, Twitch, Reddit, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and of course the Hacks Podcast, which is award-winning, might I add. You can find that wherever you consume your podcasts. Here's what we're talking about today. As I was saying, Salt 3006 has released. Let's hear it for the Salt core team, and let's hear it for Anil. Very excited about this. That's great news, and there's a lot happening with that. We're all very excited about it. I know that, what was that? Is there cheering? Am I missing cheering going on? Oh, it looks like I am, actually. Let's do a round of applause, shall we?
Hey, Chunga.
Round of applause. Yes, Elisa.
Can you put us up a little bit earlier in the agenda? Because I'm probably not going to stay on the call that long.
And I've got a new session starting in a few minutes.
Yeah, would that be
Is
okay
that
to
right?
put us clear up?
You guys know that you are tantamount to the kids in the back seat saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?"
Well,
You guys, how you doing that? I'll tell you what, we can totally do that. Let's, in fact,
That's right.
we'll go to you guys first. We'll go to you guys
Okay.
first, then we'll check in with Anil and then Thomas Phipps, and he'll be checking with the community forums. Well, let's get right to it, and then we'll talk about the user group meetups next. Okay, so as you can tell on your screen, we've got Elisa, we've got David Murphy, and other members of the Salt Core team. There's we're out in mass today at PyCon 2023. So let me move the slide forward here a little bit. There we go. PyCon 2023. So if you'd like, you can even share your screen, Elisa, and we'll chat with you guys from PyCon. You can show us around. What do you say? Can you do that? Or
yeah. So here's what my plan is. Okay. So this is day 2 of the conference, and it's definitely way more crowded than it was yesterday, which is really cool. Seeing lots of cool people here. What masks are required here. So what I'm going to do is yes, they are. So I'm going to put on my mask, and then I'm going to mute, and we'll just walk around just a little bit and let you just see what PyCon is like, and then we'll probably log off. If that's okay.
Okay. Well, just before, as you're doing that, just yell through your mask a little bit. Has there been anything that's been a standout to you so far at PyCon? In terms of crowd, or in terms of, how are the crowds so far? Is it bigger or lesser than what you thought it would be?
It's building, but it really kicks off tomorrow morning, Friday. There's the reception
is that
tonight.
right?
So tomorrow and the next 2 days is the actual presentations and stuff. Today we're having, and yesterday, tutorials, pitches and things, vendors.
Okay.
But it really kicks off tomorrow morning in force.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
we're seeing
Yeah.
people wander in as their flights arrive.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And this is at the Salt Palace Convention Center in Salt Lake, right? It's a massive convention space. All right. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, share your screen and kind of pan things around. And let's take a look at what's happening there. Have there been any sort of cool booths or vendors?
How do you reverse it?
I don't have it.
I don't know. Okay. What was that question, Shunga?
This is my question is, have you seen any cool booths or any surprise vendors, or have you gotten any cool swag so far?
They don't have, like,
the ground floor hasn't opened up
they
yet.
haven't opened that yet.
They're still fitting up the booths. Those will open up tonight as part of the reception.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys are way early.
Very early in the conference. So.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you pan around? I'm seeing in the chat people are saying, this makes me miss SaltConf even more, and I couldn't agree with that statement. I wish there was a like button that I could like 1,000 times on that
Yeah, no
statement.
worries. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll just kind of walk around a little bit and show you the sites of the lobby and things like that. And,
All right. Very cool.
and then we'll probably log off. So
All right. Very good. Well, thanks for doing this. Again, lots of SALT project, I guess, SALT core team members are at PyCon today. I don't know if there was supposed to be any big revelations. It feels to me, I don't know about you guys, Gareth and Neil and team Megan. To me, the 3006 release almost feels like a PyCon release, right? It almost feels like we should be there banging on pots and pans and making a huge noise about 3006. All right, we got a very good view of sconces and ceilings, Elisa. Can we maybe pan that down just a tad? There we go. Okay. So not really. I know we got a fingerprint in the way. I was really hoping this was going to go better.
Chunga, you got to send a film crew next time.
Yeah, seriously. That's I think they're doing a great job considering what they have to work with. But hey, she's got her PyCon t-shirt on. That's something. Oh no, she's got her SALT shirt on. That's even better. What about you, Murphy? You wearing your SALT swag at all? He's got his SALT stack jacket on. Okay. All right. This has all the charm of watching my kids at a little league baseball game, walking around on FaceTime. All right, friends, we're gonna cut it loose. Thank you so much. Thanks. It was worth a try, right? Oh, hey, we got something. Hey, we actually have something. So the booths are being set up. All right, this works.
That's food and drinks.
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right. Thank you,
booth.
friends. Thank you so much. Have fun at your tutorials. Much appreciated. And we'll go. We'll go back to what's happening here with us. All right. Well, hey, you win some, you lose some. But I'm actually kind of surprised that they don't have more set up at this time of the morning. That's interesting to me. All right. Well, listen.
They don't do it for the pre stuff. They're in there setting up the floor, and that'll open up tomorrow when the actual conference starts.
Are you going, Shane? Are you going to PyCon?
No, I went last year, and that's what they did.
Okay. It does make me miss SaltConf. And there may or may not be some things afoot that we are working on. And Neil, Tom Hatch, other leadership, Nick Arone, who's here. Hey, Nick, shout out to Nick. We're all working on trying to put together some one-day events, virtual events for you. And hopefully we're going to be able to make that happen, which will have some sort of similarity anyway, at least a couple of times a year at SaltConf. More on that later. But first, big news. And again, applause to the entire SALT core team and to Anil. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Anil is here. He is the project manager over SALT project and SALT software, excuse me. And would you take a minute, Anil, and kind of let us know, give us a showcase, if you would, about some of the stuff that's happening with SALT 3006.
So I'm Anil. I'm Senior Engineering Manager of SALT project. So we just released 3006, which is our first LTS release. So big congratulations to core team and a big thank you to community for helping us out in this release. I just wanted to take a few moments and wanted to reflect back what we did. And if you see, I'm not highlighting the number of issues that we have fixed, number of PRs we have merged. We need to do some work over there. But I want to reflect back the foundational work that we have done it with 3006 to release SALT frequently, because this was one of the issues that we identified that, hey, we are merging PR, we are fixing issues, but we cannot get the releases out fast enough. So it was very important for us to acquire that ability to release things faster. So with 3006, we have that, and it is because of the list of few things that I have listed on this slide. RELN, which is the related environment for Python, to creating basically building all our dependencies from source. And Daniel Wozniak already had walked through and demo about it. Our new Wonder packages better than what we had in 2005.1. That didn't go well, but we are very confident about this one. We automated all our end-to-end release process. Now, this is where we took a lot of time to remove any dependencies, internal or external, that we had. It moved everything on GitHub Actions. So a lot of investment there as well. We have the nightly builds for master and 2006 as of now. So we'll when we have the 2007, 2008, we'll have the nightly builds for them as well, as long as they are supported. We have 0 manual tests in the installed right now. We can argue that whether they are enough or not, but that was one initiative where we wanted to automate everything. And then we also found out that the PR merge, it takes time. Sometimes, test failure happens. Maybe it would be good to find out the test failures earlier. So we created new test groups so that you can run fast, slow code tests and find out whether that PR has any issues or not. And I believe that will make the PR merge process faster, because we have 2 outstanding issues apart from the delivery of the salt. One is that, our issues that we get on GitHub is increasing. We are not resolving them fast enough. Number 2, the PR's merge process is slow. So this work is essentially to solving those things in future for all upcoming DOT releases and major releases that will be doing it. What also I wanted to give some glimpse about what we are going to do next. So apart from, working on 2006, we also have been working on some new extensions, bringing out, I think a couple of extensions we have, we gave demo for our like heist and salt describe. There is something which we have been working to make the salt capable of processing data and sending to destinations. Like, what if you want to collect the data from master and have a better troubleshooting data for salt setup? So we took the concept of edge computing, created data processing pipeline. We'll be releasing that soon. So that's coming in next few weeks time, and we'll see this extension getting released and opening up for community uses in next few weeks. We have capability of releasing salt much faster. So the plan is to do the DOT releases every 3 months, but if needed, we can do the DOT release earlier. So for example, if we have a P0 or P1 issue which is broken and people cannot use that release, we'll try to release faster. But we want to be very predictable about our DOT releases, and 3 months time is to give team enough time to resolve as much issues we can. Otherwise, we become very reactive, right? So just to give some time for planning, putting some thoughtful fixes, and releasing them. That we have planned. Feature releases every 6 months. So 2007 would be expected in October. I think that's the 6 months, and then 2008, 6 months after that, and that will become our second LTS. One thing which I have been observing since the last 1 year or so is that every time we release, we break things, and I want to acknowledge that. So as an engineering team, we want to put some efforts there, but I think we are not getting enough testing on RC builds. So we need more community testings so that we have 0 escapes for P0 and P1. Internally, I'm making some efforts to ramp up testing from our side, at least for performance and end-to-ends. But we need more testing from community for every release that we do that. And then we'll have the releases where all the upgrade, downgrade, basic, all the basic critical, use case that will work. So while I give you a big thank you to the community, I also have a humble request that, help us to find out the issues early so that we can fix them and give a stable release. That's all I have.
That's great stuff. And Neil, let's hear for Neil. Well done, sir. Fantastic. Exciting stuff. Shane, I like that. You no doubt have questions for Anil about this 3006. Anil, can you stick around for the Q&A? Do you have the bandwidth to do that?
I have 12 minutes.
You have 12 minutes. Okay, well, I think we could probably swing that. If not, I'm sure that the Salt Core team has it here. By the way, on the point of the we need more community testing, Anil, so that you know we are bribing people to do that testing. So you can win all kinds of very cool Salty swag out of the Salty store for doing that community testing, and we'll talk more about that coming up. Okay, well, let's get to it so that we can have Neil answer any questions that you may have. Let's take it over to Thomas Phipps and find out what's happening in the community forums. Thomas.
Hello.
Hi there.
Just a quick one this time. Over on Reddit, somebody was asking about how to get Salt class working, and I thought I'd use this opportunity to mention a little used feature that actually can be extremely powerful, which is the master top system. Basically, instead of using top.sls, you can set up the master to programmatically tell minions what they have. So you can create Python scripts or use Salt class, which is a built-in master tops, to automatically have the master say, hey, yeah, you have this state, this state, this state, this state. It's a really powerful system that almost nobody knows about. And it's one of the things where people are like, well, I can't programmatically tell the minion what states it has. Well, yeah, you can. It's just not something you know to look for.
I love that we're talking about this. Is this something that we'd want to do a demo on in the future, Thomas, you think? It seems like it's a pretty powerful thing that's kind of obscure.
It's a very powerful thing. A lot of people, I don't even remember that. I think it's called Frontier or Forum. Starts with an F, but it uses the master top system when you're using Foreman. Yes.
All right, very cool.
This is based on the old reclass. This is a re-implementation of reclass. Yeah. I used reclass on 2 different HPC clusters and about 200 other random nodes when I worked for the Department of Energy. Reclass, I can't speak for Salt classes. If it's a re-implementation, it should work great, but reclass was extremely helpful because when you have different networks, different subnets, different user populations, different daemons, you can, if you're careful, you can structure reclass to handle all that and give you out. I had it barfing out just a list of keywords, sometimes 80 of them, for how I needed individual nodes to be configured. So a demo of Salt class would be extremely welcome.
Okay. All right. Well, let me make a note here really quick. Demo of Salt class. I love it.
Yeah. And that's not the only built-in master tops, but it's one of the more programmable ones. So.
Good stuff, Thomas. Anything else?
Not at this time.
You think we got it? Okay, very good. Well, let's jump forward. Thomas Phipps, everybody, the guy's a machine. Every single open hour, delivering great stuff for us. And watch for a Salt class demo coming up soon. All right, time now for the moment you've all been waiting for. It's Q&A, aka Nick and Gary time. I may add Hunter to that list as well if he keeps up his cadence. Shout out to Hunter. Anil is here, so while we've got him, if any of you have any 3006 questions, maybe we should go with those first. Anyone jump in?
I do.
Anybody who wants to?
I do.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, yeah, that sounded like Gary and Hunter. Who got Hunter got
Hunter was
first, right?
first. Hunter was first. Yeah.
All right, let's go with Hunter first.
One of the exciting new things that's in Sulfur is the global state conditions. This looks like this would save my team a fair bit of boilerplate in a bunch of places, but from just the announcement, just the change log, I can't figure out where all this where it goes. So is there a more fleshed out example than just the release notes version of global state conditions?
Hey, Hunter, this is Nick Hughes. I actually implemented that. There isn't a huge example in the docs right now. It's really just in the configuration docs, you know, like the minion configuration docs. There's a small example on how you might use it. But if you'd like something more, either hit me up on Slack, or maybe we can do a demo in a future open hour.
I'd be open to either of those. I'll ping you on Slack, because the big one that I can't figure out is where the global state conditions line goes. Does that go? Does that go in the minion config? Does that go in the master config?
Yeah, that's the minion config.
Goes in the minion config. Okay, that explains a few. Yeah, I think fleshing this out with a little bit more doc to say exactly where some of these bits and pieces goes might be very valuable to the community.
All
But
right,
thank
very
you.
good. Yeah, thank you, Hunter. All right, Gary, you're up.
So I pasted a link in the chat to an issue, which I'm sure probably most of the core team is aware of. Big regression that causes SLS files that include Jinja macros to have a rendering error. I see it's currently tagged for 3006.1. I know Anil was talking about maybe every 3 months, but this one seems like a pretty big one to me. So do you guys expect to release a new version that fixes this pretty soon? Or is that okay?
Yes. So since we broke it, we just, just before this meeting, we are contemplating that how soon we should be releasing it. And I suggested to the team that, hey, let's find out if we have any other major issues which has broken 2006. And we are planning to release .1 in the first week of May.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, we could have done it sooner. We have the ability of doing it, but I just want to take some time to make sure that we have included some more critical important issues in .1.
Well, just a sidebar real quick, I guess it's the same thing. If we can release sooner, and that was the whole big push in getting things a little bit more automated for the 3006 release, what's the harm in releasing a .1 and then realizing that we need a .2?
I would support that. My team we can't even contemplate switching to 3006 until that specific bug is fixed. I mean, we can't even test it.
Yeah, in olden times, right? Previous releases, it was difficult to make a release, but if we went through the trouble of automating to the point where it's a lot easier to do that, I feel like we should be able to cover a .1, and then if anybody raised their hand and said, hey, stuff's still broken, then just a .2, a .3, a .4, or whatever. I don't think we need to hold back.
Yep, I agree with that. But I also want to give the core team some time to think and plan for things. So we can be highly reactive and keep doing a dot release like every week, or we can do some planning and release things in a better way. And my approach would be that while I understand that when things like this are broken, we should be trying to do it much faster. But since what I see the gap right now in things getting tested out, like, and just to make sure that we are not having introducing any other issues, I would like to have some gap in that, and that's the reason it's just the 10 days more before we be the .1.
And that's the timeline that you're talking about, Anil. The lag that you're talking about is just a little over a week, right?
Yes.
Okay, roughly.
Yeah,
And
I don't particularly have a problem with a week, but like I've also seen in the past that we get into the scenario where we're overthinking things, right? And so we're going to give it 10 days and see what happens, and then stuff happens inside of the 10 days. We're like, oh, now we need more time, and
no.
those
things
don't
are
want to
gone.
fall into that trap,
Nick.
Yeah.
We are past of that situation. I would say that things are much better. Our next stop is making sure that the quality of releases are solid. So
this seems to be
in that direction.
This seems to be an issue that's hitting a lot of people though, and keeping them from testing salt further. So I mean, I would be for releasing it so we can get better testing, so they can get past this problem.
One other comment I would make is, so I see there's a PR that I guess appears to resolve this, but there are no tests in the PR. So this issue could recur again. In a new release, the second someone changes something again.
We don't merge any bug fixes without tests. And we haven't for this has been our policy for 2 years now, I think.
Okay, so we should expect tests to show up before that PR is merged then.
Yeah, certainly. In fact, there is another PR with tests. With the test, the regression test of the specific example in that ticket. It should be showing up. I don't know why it's not showing up on the issue. I'd have to look at that. But yeah, there's another PR. I added a regression test, reproduced the issue before I even started looking at a fix. The other thing, probably the one you're looking at, is from Pedro, and that is something he was looking at. He thought was sort of an obvious fix, and so he just wanted to try it. But yeah, we don't merge any bug fixes without tests. In fact, we shouldn't be merging any PRs at all without tests for that code, those code changes.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, Anil, thank you. I know you need to drop. Thanks for the time. Much appreciated. Always great to see you here. Also, huge thanks to Nick Arone, who is one of our heroes as well, who jumped in.
No, Anil, don't leave. Did you leave?
Anil, are you still there? Looks like Nick's got more. Do you have time?
Okay. I can stay for 5 minutes more.
Yeah, I also have a quick question.
No. Hold on. I need Anil. Hold on.
All right, you're fine, Nick. You're fine. Go for it.
So you mentioned during your slide there that work was being done on salt extensions, and I don't see it happening in the salt extensions project. So where is that development happening?
They are not yet public. So we are going to make them public in a few weeks' time.
Why are they not public?
They were not public because they were just research items, and we were. So whenever we release a salt extension, like these were basically research items from the team. But any future ones, we also need to go through some process in VMware for all the VMware originated projects, and that takes some time. So in between, while that process was getting completed, we are working to make sure that it actually works. POC and other things and other examples.
So speaking as somebody that's a part of the community that's not part of VMware, I hate seeing this. I'm fighting this currently with Item Project. These are open source projects.
I'm aware of that.
This is open source code that is coming out of an open source project, and basically no reason to do it in the dark where people can't see what's going on.
The extensions that Anil was talking about, though, in the slides were not open source projects. They were internal VMware research projects that we had to ask permission to open source. So they're not stuff coming out of the existing open source Salt code base. They were new, they're wholly new things.
And to further clarify that, so two of the three that Anil mentioned, Salt Describe and Heist, they are already open source. They're GitHub repos, they're public, they're open source. And the effort to move modules out into extensions has not begun yet. That will begin as we start moving towards 2007 and 2008. And that will be done completely in the open,
Okay, perfect. That's what I was concerned about, right? Because we've been talking about going through the process of breaking stuff out into extensions from the core code base. And that's how I took that.
Yeah, no, that will be completely open. We are not hiding that from anyone.
Yeah. And these three, basically, two of them were, we had already had demo in the open hours. Salt Analytics was not, because it was a research item. So we got it permission to make it open source. I'm sure you all will be excited to see what it can do.
And can I just say really quick, these kinds of discussions, I think these are very helpful. And if you're in the community, if you're sitting in this room right now, listening to this, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, please don't be afraid to come to Open Hour and ask the hard questions. This is what makes the community great. This is what gives clarity to confusion. And this is the kind of stuff that the core team, Anil and myself, like to hear, believe it or not. Even though it may feel a little uncomfortable, this is the stuff that's very helpful for us. And in a very short amount of time, as you can see, we were able to clarify something that Nick had some concerns about. At least hopefully to your satisfaction, Nick, we were able to clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel much better about it now, because like the original, like I said, it just seemed like we were going down the road that we had discussed in the past. And like new functionality, okay, understood. But I'm glad to hear that we're going to be transparent when we start cutting stuff out of the core code base.
Related to that, it's a separate question. Is there a list of core code modules that are obviously no decision has been made, but are at least being considered for being turned into extensions?
Yes, and we will figure that out. We will publish that list so that like everyone can go through. I mean, just to be clear, just to be further clear on this, like this is not an effort that's going to be solely done by the core team. Like we definitely want the community involved in this, because it is a huge effort to move a lot of that stuff out. So sure. We definitely want help.
So it's my opinion that anything that is dealing with external APIs is a really good candidate for cutting out. And the first one that's going to disappear from the core code base and solely be an extension is every piece of Microsoft Azure code. I've already broken that out. I've already put the deprecation messages in, and that should be dropping out here. I forget exactly what I put in, but maybe in 3007 or beyond.
It was 3007 that you would put it in for.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And related to that, so that would mean that the Hashimoto vault, that code would, because that's an external API, that would likely be moved out as to an extension. That one bit us kind of hard because that one's been broken for a bit.
Yeah, the HashiCorp Vault stuff is definitely a great candidate to move out. And the great thing about making an extension is that we can more easily fix the issues with it and iterate faster than the core releases are going to occur.
Yeah, this is paralleling how the Python people ended up having to deal with stuff.
I mean, if we look at Vault, it gets rewritten every release. So
the API or Vault itself?
The Salt Vault code. Almost every part of it gets rewritten almost every release because it's changed so often.
Fair enough. Thank you for the information.
Yeah, just, I mean, a few others off the top of my head. So like a lot of the Bodo modules, our plan is to move those out to extension. The various databases, MySQL, Postgres, Mongo,
The OpenStack stuff.
OpenStack, yeah, for sure. Yeah, just anything. I mean, to Nick's point, anything that touches a external API or a external system of some sort will likely get moved out to an extension. And to further his point again, like that, this will definitely help those modules going forward. Not only will it let us identify the ones that aren't like actively used and probably should be deprecated in the future, but also the ones that are actively used by the community will get. It'll make it easier to develop those and do releases on them like much quicker. So
Excellent.
It's going to be a huge effort, and there's going to be many pain points, but ultimately it's going to be better.
Will that include the networking code for, say, things like Red Hat? Is that going to become a module, or will that remain part of the core of SALT?
That one's one that we've kind of debated whether or not we should move it out, because it is that and like package modules. Those could be considered core.
I'm leaning towards keeping those as core.
Yeah, no,
Right
that's
just
ultimately
because-
like where things will likely fall.
Yeah.
On the networking one specifically, I'm curious to hear more. I had heard a recording from a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, maybe by now. And I heard there was some mention that maybe in 3007, there'd be some renewed focus on like the network managed and stuff, making it work across different OSs. Is that still?
Yeah, that was, I think that was likely me that made that comment. So as a lot of distros have moved to use Network Manager, a lot of our networking modules have kind of, this is the ones actually like to set up and manage like your networking settings on your hosts. A lot of our networking modules have kind of become out of date, just because, again, like the move to Network Manager. So one of the efforts for 3007 is to support that and some interaction between SALT and Network Manager.
We're kind of, sorry, I was just going to say, we kind of took a whole effort right now to rewrite all of our SALT code base and really get everything being managed by SALT as code. And networking's kind of, I think, the last one on our list that we really just can't tackle right now because of the built-in, capabilities. We're working across some old OSs, so it probably works there, but also like Rocky 9.1 and, just at some point, it needs to be updated. But I'm curious, is like that development effort, is it something that like is open and there's tasks to track it and there's some thought on how it'll go? I mean, we can certainly contribute towards it if, there's a plan, right? But at this point, we're kind of trying to figure out, do we use some other thing to abstract this away? Do we use some other tool just for managing the network configs? Do we write our own custom module for SALT? Like we're kind of stuck. Trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the development effort, it hasn't really started yet. At least from my side, I've kind of loosely looked at some of the ways to interact with Network Manager with Python. And there's a few out there, but nothing really like concrete.
Yeah, the stuff that I work with my customers on, it sounds like what you have is a great candidate for potentially like a local override of the module with some fixes and get it right, and maybe put new functions or new modules in as appropriate depending on what network systems you're working with. And then once you've got that tight, you could certainly upstream that from there. So that's probably the best course.
Okay, thanks for that.
Gareth, what about a hybrid proposal where the sort of the package and networking the meta module stayed part of core, but the what I think of as the drivers, the network manager, the net plan for Debian, those became extensions that you sort of plugged in. You know, or maybe the most popular one, like DNF Yum, is part of the core. Apt maybe is part of the core, but then Zipper or something got turned into an extension. Is that something that's possible with how Salt extensions work today?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, as far as like the Zipper one, I could see that being broken out into an extension, simply because the SUSE team that contributes heavily to Salt would potentially want to manage that one going forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Not to mention it works best with their version of Salt.
Right.
Yeah, we have some SUSE systems here. I don't like to talk about it. And this is also just for my edification. If you have, say, the networking code that's in for Red Hat today, can a Salt module override that? If we were to write say a networking manager, we wouldn't. We know that you guys are working on it, but if we did, would that be able to override the built-in core, or is that not a feature of Salt extensions?
The extension does take priority over what's built in.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
So it works really similar to where you used to be able to, well, I mean, still can dump a module and like serve salts _modules, and it overrides the built-in similar way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Oh, yep, go for it.
I was gonna say, I have a random question for everyone, and I'm kind of curious how people might approach it. I mean, we have a bunch of systems running all different OSs with all different Python versions and all different Salt versions. With 3006, I mean, I was hoping 3005 would be the solution, right? But that had some challenges. 3006 looks really, really promising in this regard. You know, the Python that ships with it seems to work everywhere and seems to work well and so on. But I like going through, I've tried a few different things to kind of get this deployed out. I mean, I started with Salt SSH, and that quickly realized, well, it uses the installed, like the local Python where it's deploying to. And I still have, you know, Python 2 and unsupported Python 3s out there. Heist, I in the past had gotten it working, and then it's kind of had broken for me. I think I might have been able, like, I can probably get it working again, but then I ran into an issue with it not supporting passwordless sudo and kind of having to rethink all that. I had tried the bootstrap, but at the time 3006 was release candidate, and that was only installing the Python pip install for release candidates. There wasn't like a way to install using the bootstrap though.
Hey,
so
Josh,
I'm just curious, how do people get Salt on their machines? I mean, what are people using nowadays?
We have some stuff happening in the chat, Josh and Gareth. If you guys want to just, for the sake of people watching this after the fact, it may be helpful to just have you guys answer both of those that you put in the chat, if you wouldn't mind. I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, I can repeat it after we address. I'm not going to try and that name. I might butcher it. Eliezer. Eliezer. Okay. Sorry, I have a complicated name that people always mispronounce too. So.
And misspell if you're me. So yeah, Josh, do you have anything to add, or do you just want me to read what you wrote there? I can do that too if you'd like.
Yeah, my question was, Gareth, you had mentioned that in the same way that if you want to override an existing module, you put it in the _modules directory. I was wondering if you have both an extensions that overrides, say, package, and you have _modules that overrides package, which takes precedence?
Yeah, just to repeat my comment there, I not 100% sure. I don't know if anyone else on the core team knows off the top of their heads, but I suspect that the extension would take priority.
The right
Oh,
answer is
the-
probably don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the right answer is definitely don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unexpected
I think
consequences.
yeah, I think honestly, like going forward, sticking stuff in, unless it's your own custom module, sticking stuff in underscore modules, it almost always leads to problems. The amount of issues that I've seen, and I'm sure that Thomas has dealt with too, where someone reports an issue only to discover later that it's because they've overridden it with an older version of the module. And their minion is picking it up, is like I said, like countless times. So I think if you're overriding an existing module in that way, going forward, just don't do that. So yeah, just I guess just to get back to the original question, I like I said, I think the extension would take priority, but I would have to double check.
I'm not sure if that's the way it works today, but it would seem to me that the desired outcome would be that the thing in your state tree would take ultimate precedence over everything.
I would agree with that.
So let me give an example. I write everything as a package.installed, right? But I'm using APK as my package type. Well, APK is both Android package and Alpine package. And there's an extension module that I've got for Alpine, but I've got an underscore modules that's Android. So just to make things complicated. Never mind.
Interesting.
Okay, so Elliot, does this help you answer your question, or do we need more?
I don't believe we've addressed his question at all.
Okay,
I
I apologize.
But all good.
I thought
Let's
it was
finish
one of
that
the.
one.
I thought they were going the same way. So forgive me. Let's go
Not
back
even
to it.
close.
Okay,
Elazar,
my bad. That's my bad.
I can only speak to this in limited fashion. We deploy across two main types of systems. One's an HPC cluster, one's about 180 general purpose computing nodes. Our operating system range is fairly limited. And when we're upgrading or migrating Salt from one version to another, that's the one place where we still pull out the multi SSH tools. You know, where you get the big screen. I've got a 34-inch ultra wide monitor. I have found I can do 8 at once. And we have some other, I actually wrote a script that parses the nodes file in Salt and turns that into regular lists of SSH. And that's actually how we deploy, so that systems that are remarkably similar end up on the screen with each other. And then it's just a case of ye olde sysadmin keeping notes about which ones blew up, and I go back and fix them later. But that's the one place where we don't have a good answer either, and I pull out the multi-SSH tools. I use the one that's built on top of iTerm because I'm on a Mac. There's a bunch of others. In the past, we've used DSSH. I don't know how much of a help that is.
Yeah,
if you have
one to look. I'm curious how people solve it. So, you know,
if it's a few hundred nodes, you can get away with it. We're at the top end of what I consider to be viable for that kind of approach, because when you get 400 or 500 nodes or more, that's really no longer a viable approach.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. What most people do is use things like Salt Cloud, Saltify, or Salt SSH where they can.
Yeah, I was going to ask if Salt Heist was ready for prime time for bootstrapping yet.
We're adding the 3006 stuff right now, and I'm aware of that issue that mentioned about the passwordless sudo, so I could prioritize that. It shouldn't be a difficult fix.
Yeah, ultimately, Heist should be the where you look to have this problem solved. I think
Heist is the new version of Salt SSH.
Yeah, eventually we will, I think, deprecate Salt SSH or integrate Heist with Salt SSH. I'm not sure exactly which yet, but yeah, Heist is the new.
On Heist, I mean, a random question there. I've been installing like the tip of master for a long time because it's, you know, at different points kind of what's worked for me. The releases on Salt Heist, I think, haven't happened in a good bit. And then I'm also kind of sometimes Salt Heist and Heist kind of get a bit out of sync, and it's tough to figure out what to install where to get what working, you know, get the two working together. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of challenging. I've had some challenges with Heist also.
Yeah, so a big reason why there hasn't been a lot of activity there is the focus on 3006, the automation. So I'm putting my focus back on there, and I plan to do a release here soon, so everything should be in sync. By soon, I'm just adding the 3006 support so that you can actually use it with that, since we changed a lot of things with the 3006 Wonder packages. So you can reach out to me on Slack too. So if there is other issues, I can help resolve those, but my focus is back on Heist now.
Okay, cool. So we had set up like a whole CI kind of thing going with our particular OSs that we target. What we want to do is install Salt minions on there in the same manner as we will ultimately in production, and kind of have a full end-to-end test here. But the passwordless sudo, that's like usually a standard for Vagrant boxes, and that kind of falls apart in the early stages then, you know. So kind of not even able to really test it too well with what I have accessible.
Yeah, I have to get the 3006 stuff out. I can dive into that one really quick. If it takes like a day, I could try to sneak it in this release, but it's not difficult to do a release. So once I push out the 3006 stuff, I can do another release once the passwordless stuff's fixed. So hopefully we can get that out here in the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
We'd appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Okay, well, Eliezer, I apologize, man, for taking people away from your question.
No worries, no worries. I'm glad we got back to it.
Thanks for your patience with all of you. I thought I was doing awesome there for a minute. Nope. Anyway, thanks again. Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have another quick one. I just wanted to call attention to a PR created by a gentleman named Carl that has addressed a nearly 7-year-old feature request to support specifying rendering parameters for Jinja templates, so you can do things like L-strip blocks. I wonder if the core team could, now that 3006 is out, could maybe go hit the button to approve the workflow and maybe give it a review. I have pasted the PR in the chat. What is it? 63746.
I have clicked said button.
Awesome sauce.
So did I.
Oh no.
Double the testing.
Dean probably also approved that PR. Did you not, Shane?
Well, I haven't read through it yet.
Never stopped you before, Shane. Oh.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
Approved.
That rehearsal earlier, DWAS really paid off. We really nailed that.
Okay, anything else? No, we're good. All right, well, a lot of good stuff happening. Thank you for all of the contribution. Thank you for all of the questions, the direct questions, and otherwise. That's how we get there, right? So it's much appreciated. Congratulations to the entire Salt Core team and the community on 3006. That's exciting stuff. And if there is nothing else, Shane, if you would, sir, play us out.
It's proved 5 or 6 more PRs real quick, but anyways, I was thinking the other day, I've never heard a pterodactyl use the restroom. And I'm guessing that's because the P is silent.
Oh.
Have we had a good P joke in open hour yet? I think that might be a groundbreaking, Shane. There you go. Let's hear it for Shane, ladies and gentlemen.
Should have left
There
that
you
one
go,
in the
man.
ground.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's it for open hour. Remind everybody to check it out on YouTube on the Salt Project channel, and we'll see you back here on May 4th. And may the 4th be with you. There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on the next one.